Hi everyone.
Hey everybody, how are you?
Hope you're doing good.
We're doing better. Much better. Yes. Kimberly's finally over hers. Hers lasted 4 days.
Yeah.
Mine was only a day and a half, so I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, there goes our phone, so I guess we should turn them down.
Sorry about
It
that.
said that we're live. Anyway, we hope you guys enjoy your Valentine's Day tomorrow, and the true reason for it is about couples and love and
Spending time together.
Yeah, just love, I think, in general.
Which we're not. We're actually going to hang out a little bit, but we're actually going to go out Saturday night when it's not so crowded and busy.
Yeah, we don't like going out on Valentine's Day. The food isn't good, the places are crowded, they always have a set menu, and the prices are way more expensive. So we don't buy into it.
Right.
No, not
But
at all.
just enjoy yourself, have fun with your mate, spend time together. Kimberly and I spent New Year's Eve together for the first time by ourselves all night, and it was amazing.
Well, we had Braxton.
Well, that's true.
But he was in his room, so.
Right. So he really wasn't
Hanging
there.
out. That's what 16-year-olds do now. But anyway, we're sorry about our backward sign.
Right. Because we can't flip it around if we don't have a mirror.
It's kind of funny how everything is kind of backwards. But anyway, so we're glad you guys all joined us tonight. And tonight we're going to talk about marriage.
And we're gonna we do that.
I know.
Right.
We talk about marriage.
So tonight it's about what do we choose to do? How do we choose? And Kimberly is not my enemy. Even though there's times when I think she really is, when I think she's actually doing things to intentionally irritate me, upset me, or just being ornery.
And sometimes I can be ornery.
Yes.
Yes. Can't we all?
Yes. And I can too. I mean, there's definitely times when we do that to each other. But the main thing is that whenever we have a moment of conflict or times we have a choice to make, and we have to choose whether we're going to have a moment of looking at what the problem is, talking about it calmly, or we're going to choose to be right, and we're going to try to compete with each other. And we're going to, because, it's like the one who's right wins.
Right.
And Kimberly and I are really good at trying to be right. It doesn't mean we're right. It just means we're good at trying to be right. And some of our arguments are absolutely ridiculous. And I just want to give you a quick example. Was that so tonight we got a new Brita for water, and we drink a lot of water, so it gets empty pretty quick. And I'm sitting there at the counter, I noticed Kimberly's giving water to the dogs. So I get over and I start getting ice from my cup out of the freezer, and she walks over with the now half-empty jar, Brita, puts it under the faucet and fills it up. Now, if anybody owns one of these, you know something. When it's full, you can't get water out of it. And
you have to drain it.
Yeah, and I had a choice to make at that moment. I could have looked at her and said, "What are you doing?" It's like, how mean are you that I went to go get ice in my cup, and like you just go over and fill it up, and I can't get water.
And I had no clue.
And she had no clue. But I could have been upset with her. It's like, what were you thinking? Why weren't you paying attention? She doesn't care about me. I can make up all these...
you could totally go way the opposite way in your head over something so menial as that, right?
Right, and to be honest with you, a couple of those thoughts actually crossed my mind. Because if I want to be right, I have to find my best ammunition to be right, don't I? And the ammunition of, well, that was really mean, and she's going to go, what are you talking about? And there we go. That's the beginning of it, because she's going to look at me and go, you're crazy. What's wrong with you? And I'm going, that was just mean. And and
I didn't even seriously. I'm just sitting there, just doing my thing. We just were making dinner, and I'm just not thinking about anything. I'm just on automatic, and I just fill it up.
Right.
And I'm going back to put it in the refrigerator, and he's coming out of the freezer with his cup.
Right, to get water.
Yeah, and I go, oops, I just filled it up. I mean, he didn't say anything to me, but it's a perfect example
of what I could have
how
done.
Your brain can all of a sudden go sideways. You could choose at that moment.
And you have to choose. I could be petty, and I could be upset with her, and I could pick a fight. And, there's sometimes when I'm irritable or I'm in a bad mood where, you know what, I probably would have. And I try not to. I know better, but you know what, even though I have God and I have all these wonderful accolades that God gives me, like this power to overcome sin and temptation and all that stuff, it's great. But that doesn't mean I'm still not going to be human. I am.
He's not perfect, and neither am I.
That's right.
Anyway, so you have a choice to make in marriage. You can either work together as a team, be teammates, or you can compete against each other. And you do have a choice. So when, you go to argue or something comes up, instead of fighting and, having an argument isn't all bad, because we are going to have disagreements in life, no matter who you're with, even with your girlfriends or your parents or your family. There's always going to be misunderstandings, arguments, things like that. So it's okay.
It's not about the
misunderstanding.
It's not about that there's a
argument.
problem with arguing. It's not about there's a problem with having misunderstandings, because they're going to happen. The problem is how you handle them when they happen.
Right.
The difficulty is that we get into this routine of being competitive and wanting to be right, and we get into an argument, and instead of even looking at what are we arguing about, what is the importance of this moment to be having a fight, changing the mood of the moment, changing the attitude in the house, where all of a sudden the whole tension gets brought up in the house, and we're fighting about, she went and filled up the jar with water, and I just got through putting ice in my cup, and I'm thirsty. I am not going to die of thirst, but I could certainly step in and go, I'm dying of thirst. I can't believe you were so mean that you don't care about me at all. And it happens.
Well, and to be honest, that's what maybe he was thinking.
I was.
But that's not where my heart is, right? So, he's not my enemy, I'm not his enemy, meaning we don't intentionally mean to do things to harm the other. Sometimes we do, I've made my mistakes, and that was because I lost my way.
Even today though, sometimes we do get in an ornery mood, and we do intentionally upset the other person.
Right.
And unfortunately we do that.
And we do. We're kind of mean and ugly to our family, like our spouses. They're the ones that see the ugliest side to us. And sometimes that's hard, because we do feel like, ooh, they're doing that to get my goat, or they're doing that to irritate me, or they know I don't like that about them. Why are they doing this?
Because they don't care.
Yeah, and they feel like, oh, they don't care. Well, it's really not that, because we do actually care about each other. We do, and sometimes we're out there. I know that there's some relationships where there is some people who are very mean and hurtful, but that's really not the norm and the ultimate intention. And so, you do have to look at it like, are we working together as a team, or are we going to compete? And it's a choice that you have to make, and you can overcome so many arguments and upset. And then the other thing that we were reading the other day in our devotional that we do, we love this devotional, it's amazing. It was like looking at our reflection through the mirror of our marriage can be equally hard to take, right? Because we feel horrible about how we've acted, astonished by our own selfishness, pettiness, laziness, or even cruelty, because we can be that way. And Satan can use this awareness to tempt you to run away from your marriage.
Right.
Because what he does is he makes, in truth, you don't run from just your spouses, you're running from yourself, right?
Because it's who you are and what you do and how you do it.
And the person that you are in your marriage, right? You can't run from yourself.
And you can't change what you've already done or what's happened in the past. If you're somebody, like Kimberly and I, we have a history of arguing and fighting and fussing, where there was a point where I think most of our friends didn't even want to hang out with us, because we constantly bickered over nothing continually.
Yeah, it was always just pick.
It was competition.
Right.
It was who's right. And it always went on. And God helped us overcome this. And yes, it's still there, because we have these nasty habits that take time to overcome, but 90% of it's gone. But the truth is about arguments, and the way we handle these arguments, is that what if, when you're in an argument, you instead choose to say, okay, how are you going to handle this argument this time? Because in the past, it became a competition, and you start fighting, and you start going over everything and rehashing and rehashing and rehashing. You know what the definition of insanity is? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Right.
It's really sad.
And we're all like that. I think we're all a little insane.
We are. And we've got this cycle that we go through, and it's a vicious cycle that I do something that upsets her, she does something that upsets me, and then all of a sudden it's like it's tit for tat, and we're getting mad at each other for nothing. And we did this for years. Things that would come up that are worth nothing in value to anybody, even to ourselves. And we would look at these arguments and we go, we
Christian's mom.
Hi. We look at these things and we go, why are we arguing about this? Now we actually stop. Sometimes she'll say something to me and she'll start getting mad at me and I just start laughing. Because I am not getting involved with this argument.
Yeah.
And then she does the same thing now to me. It's like, why are you getting upset? That's stupid.
I know. And sometimes we have to catch, but now we're like more mature that we catch each other now. Like
a little more
like
mature.
This, yeah. Like this is stupid. Why are we even going down this path, right? It's just going to cause more upset. And sometimes, we just get so prideful and arrogant and we don't want to hear it. And a lot of times, like Jay's just trying to give me constructive criticism.
Oh, I can't do that much.
Or I'm trying to give him constructive criticism. And we're just like, no, you can't tell me what to do. Why are we like that? But when our friends do it, it's okay, right? But when our spouse does it, why is it not okay? They're the ones that see us as like with all our flaws, like we're the most vulnerable, right? Why can't they? They are supposed to help us grow. That's why God created marriage, was because we're supposed to lean on each other and help each other grow and to be more like Christ. And
there's a reason why they say opposites attract. There's a good reason why opposites attract, because they're together, they become whole. And that's why when God put us together, the idea is to become one. And these ideas of that they're different than us isn't that we're supposed to make them like us. I mean, not like us, they love us, but like the way we do things. If we both did everything exactly the same, nothing would be learned. Nothing could bring us together. Nothing would help us, need each other. So that way there's a relationship that's built on leaning on each other, needing each other, supporting each other.
Right.
And all these are very important when it comes to these things. And what do? We get upset because I don't do it the way Kimberly would do it, and Kim doesn't do it the way I would do it.
And and that does irritate you when you're first married. I mean, believe me, it does.
Oh, it irritates me now 25 years later sometimes. So that's
me. But that's just the way it is.
Making a bad choice.
But now we have a choice to either dwell on that or change your perspective. Like, how many times do I say this? That, oh, wow, she does that so nicely. I'm so glad that she keeps the house clean. Or, wow, I'm so glad I have clean clothes. Or, wow, I'm so glad she went grocery shopping for us. And, all the
Sounds
things.
like someone's trying to get a really good Valentine's Day gift.
Well, no, I don't buy into that marketing. I don't care really about Valentine's Day.
Anyways,
and that's not one of my love languages. So thank you, though, honey. No, I do like getting flowers, but I told him not tomorrow because they'll be 150% marked up.
Right.
Anyway, so next time you guys get into an argument or have a disagreement, try to think about, okay, maybe there's a misunderstanding and we're teammates here. We're in this thing together. We're here to grow our marriage,
right,
and not to compete against each other. And maybe just take it from that perspective and look at, okay, well, maybe I should repeat what I heard from it and then just take your time in answering.
Kimberly and I have found so many times where I react to something she said. And she looks at me like, what is wrong with you? And then I go, and now I'll stop and I'll realize she's giving me that look. And I'm going, okay, did I mishear what you said? What did you say? And then she repeats it. I go, oh my gosh, I heard something completely different. So instead of where I used to would just start getting in an argument, and she's like, I'm crazy because I'm arguing with her and she didn't really say anything that was significantly worth arguing about. And it was because I misheard what she said. I thought she said something rude to me or whatever it is. And we strongly feel that communication, the devil sometimes tries to get in your way to cause arguments.
Right.
I want to touch on one other thing that you and I didn't talk about. And
I want to read that Bible verse too in Romans 12:16 when you're done.
Okay. Yeah. So for those of you who have kids are very significant in a relationship between a husband and wife. Kids can manipulate, and kids learn how to manipulate at a very young age. They learn very quickly whose buttons to push, how to push them, and how to get what they want through pushing those buttons. And a lot of times, Kimberly will be talking to Braxton, or I'll be talking to Braxton.
And they'll use you against each other.
And they try that. We've gotten really good at, if they try to say, hey, Dad said this or Mom said that, we'll call the other person and say, hey, did you say this?
Did you say this? Did you approve this?
We've gotten that one down. But what I'm talking about is like, Braxton and I don't talk as much as I would like to, so I try to talk to him sometimes. And Braxton will come in and say, hey, Braxton, blah, blah, blah. Hey, by the way, you told me about this, this, and this. and I'll ask him a question. You know who answers for him?
I do.
Her. Nothing. And she tells me, Jane, you need to spend more time with Braxton. You need to talk to Braxton, blah, blah, blah. And when I do, she jumps in and answers his questions.
I'm bad about that.
And I'm going, can I talk to Braxton, please?
I'm bad about that, though, with everybody.
And these are points of frustration that I have to subside to because that's just who she is.
Right.
I can't change her. I don't want to change her because there's very significant, wonderful things that come out of that at times. Like if I'm confused about something and ask a question, if she knows the answer, she's quick to answer it. But there's other times where she just has to learn to not do that. You know, and I'm sure I do it at times too, where she'll ask a question of one of the kids and I'll answer because I'm right and I know how to be right, and this is my moment to be right. And that's the competition thing. Some of this stuff just might sound silly to you, but if you really think about how we act and how we operate and how you watch other people and how you react with people, you will start to see some of these things in your relationship if you haven't opened up your eyes to look at them before. Because as human beings, we're all alike.
And I don't know why we always point the bad things out about other people. Usually the things that we're pointing about other people that irritate us are the things that we're seeing that are the same in ourselves. Like the things that irritate us about someone else are the things that we have issues with and we need to work on, you know? So you've really got to stop pointing the finger and start looking at yourself and how can I change the things or how I'm perceiving, or, you know, instead of picking somebody else apart, look at the positive stuff about them and start looking at yourself and why does that affect you? Like, why does that bother you? That's the other thing about kids too. They'll help you grow. I mean, like all of a sudden they start acting like you and some of the behaviors that you're doing. Gosh. And then you're going, oh, I need to change that. So then you're like, wow.
What she's referring to is a few years ago, we saw our kids arguing.
Right. And, but there's other behaviors too.
Right. And and well, this is one of them. And we both looked at each other and we saw her and I arguing, and it was horrible.
And they still do it today.
Yeah, and that was a key though to helping us realize, wow, we really do this badly. We aren't good at this. And it helped us start looking at it more and really seeing who we were through our kids.
Yeah, and we're very quick to snap and just sometimes our tone, and we notice it with our kids now too, and they're not as and they just get it from us, and it's unfortunate that that's what it is, but you know, they're strong personalities, and unfortunately that's just kind of where they learn it from us. Well, they didn't get and they also need to learn and work on stuff too. Right. And they will, you know, unfortunately it's just what it is.
And we're talking to them about it, and we, because of who we were in the past, you know, we didn't handle things well. And now our kids are a reflection of who we were. And our kids are now becoming a reflection of who we are through the changes that's taken place in our lives. But we have to be patient with them because we had to be patient with each other and ourselves to learn these better behaviors. For those of you who were raised with parents and an opportunity to really see good communication happening, it's awesome, and you are so fortunate. So please always remember how fortunate you were to have that, because Kimberly and I didn't grow up that way.
And a lot of people don't. I mean, this world is broken. There's so many broken families.
Right. And when you see people having a bad day, or he acts that way, when he goes home, he might be being ignored. He might be getting verbally abused. He may even be getting beaten, because kids will not talk about it because they are raised to say, well, Daddy didn't mean that. He really loves you, or whatever that is that happened. So these things are all stemming from your relationship and your opportunity to have a relationship with your husband or wife. There may be things that you're still discovering about each other that cause some of these issues.
Oh, this is going to be a long time growth period because it never ends.
Right.
But let's end with this verse. I want to read this verse. How do we get in? So it's Romans chapter 12, verse 16. And there's actually several verses here, but it says, live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but be willing to associate with people of low position. Do not be conceited. Do not repay anyone evil for evil. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everyone. If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath. For it is written, it is mine to avenge, I will repay, says the Lord. So basically, just love everybody and do what is right.
And that's hard. Good feelings about their spouse, that they cared about their spouse. They may be having a really bad marriage, but they still care.
Yeah, they're still
They can still be upset with each other, but they still care. And so with that in mind, when you're having a bad day or you're coming off wrong or they're coming off wrong and you don't understand why they're acting that way, try to find a new way to deal with it with them, because what you've been doing over and over and over again is the true definition of insanity. It doesn't work. So try something different.
Try something different. Change your perspective. Look at the positive things. Stop yourself when you're feeling upset. Take a time out. We need timeouts too. But anyway,
and pray. And don't forget to pray. Pray.
Always pray.
Stop and take a moment to pray. Kimberly and I do that more, and that's made a huge difference in our communication.
Absolutely.
So, love you guys.
Have a great Valentine's.
Have a great
we love
Valentine's
you, and
Day.
we'll see you next week. Bye.